Final speaker this evening, Hills from County Galway. He helped found the St. Patrick's Day Foundation, which has helped to raise in excess of $500,000 in the last 5 years for this parade. His job today is to introduce the Grand Marshal. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the chairman of the St. Patrick's Day Parade, Mr. Sean Lane.
So a priest, a rabbi, and a minister were arguing about when life begins. So the priest turns to the other two and he says, this is one of the most sacred tenets of our Catholic faith. Life begins at conception. We believe it begins right at the beginning, the minute the baby starts to form. Now the Protestant minister turns to the priest and he says, I'm sorry, Father, I respectfully disagree. We believe that life begins at gestation. After 36 weeks, you've got a baby. That's what we believe. Now the rabbi is looking at the two of them, much older rabbi, and he says, I'm sorry, gentlemen, you're both wrong. Life begins when the kids leave the house. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, dignitaries and honorees. I'm not going to repeat all the individual names again. A round of applause for Antuftaran, the legendary broadcaster Tommy Smith. Thank you so much, Tommy. And of course for Hillary Byrne, who tirelessly works 365 days a year. I don't think he takes any time off for the parade. So on behalf of our entire parade community, let me offer congratulations to our 2020 Grand Marshal, Jim Callahan, President of the International Union of Operating Engineers. I also want to offer congratulations to our incredible aides to the Grand Marshal. This group have served our community so well. Congratulations to you all. As you've noticed from Tommy just reading the bios there, this year's group includes firefighters, police officers, Marines, people who served in the Army, engineers, and I was very pleasantly surprised to find Father Chris Keenan, the chaplain of the fire department. His father was actually taught by my great-grandfather back in 1910. So, interesting nugget of information there. So, which is why my father also had my great-grandfather as a teacher and had no life of education after that, so he must have gone through a hard time. That's all I can say. We owe great debt of gratitude to the small army of people who work so hard on making our parade a success year after year. Hillary's already named them. I'm not going to go through the individual names, but certainly the Journal Committee, the Parade Committee. There's others that are too numerous to mention. And of course, we also want to thank our colleagues on the board of the St. Patrick's Day Board, the Knights of St. Patrick, and the St. Patrick's Day Foundation and the committee. So a round of applause. I'm not going to go through the individual names. Now, just a few quick updates on our 259th parade. As Hillary mentioned, we're going to be on 7 platforms this year. NBC, Cozy, Hulu, Roku, Apple TV, YouTube TV, and also the Catholic Faith Network. You'll also notice that the parade pins are Kerry colors. Yes, anybody from Kerry here? Yes. There's the kingdom of God and the kingdom of Kerry. Right? That's what Frank O'Keefe told me to say. There he is. You owe me $20, Frank. Thank you. But that's in honor of our Grand Marshal, whose grandfather was an operating engineer, his Kerry grandfather. His other grandfather was from Limerick, I believe, right? So a Munster thoroughbred. Munster thoroughbred. So I may have mentioned before that I owe a personal big debt of gratitude to the County Kerry Association because my parents first met at a County Kerry dance in 1961. Of course, when my father was on the outs with my mother after a few drinks, he would mightily curse County Kerry. But I'm very thankful for County Kerry. I might not be here. So thank you very much. For the first time in history of the parade, as Hillary mentioned, we have a female starter. Patty Ann McDonald is going to blow the whistle. Just another round of applause for Patty Ann. We're delighted to have her. And this year's parade, of course, is dedicated to the Irish American labor movement. How many people here have ever worked in a union? Yes, huge percentage of the parade. Many of our parade groups are proud union workers, firefighters, police, teachers, nurses, sanitation, and operating engineers. I think there's a few operating engineers here today. Yes. And our Consul General mentioned, from the Molly Maguires to Mother Jones, Jim Larkin, and Jim Conley, the Irish and Irish Americans have played a vital role in the rights of labor in America. And our 2020 Grand Marshal, Jim Callahan, is no exception. I first heard about Jim Callahan in 2017 in the Rockaway Parade. Where's Mike Ben? We've gone 20 minutes without mentioning Rockaway. Sorry, Mike. So it was in the Queens County Parade. Bill Lynn was Grand Marshal at the time. I know Bill Lynn is here. Bill Lynn. So Bill might recall, I think it was about minus 15 degrees. It's true, we're the only parade, as our last Grand Marshal, Brian O'Dwyer, said last year, the only ethnic group that has our parades in winter, and boy, they're a hardy bunch in Rockaway. I'll tell you that much. So it was about minus 15 degrees, and Bill Lynn, who was Grand Marshal himself at the time, the first thing he said to me when he heard I was involved with the parade is he had a great idea for a Grand Marshal of the New York City St. Patrick's Day Parade, Jim Callahan. Swear to God, he was promoting Jim already. And then even while he was Grand Marshal himself. And then a high degree of coincidence, Mike Ben came up to me and said the same thing later, and Brendan Ben said the same thing to me. Cost him $150, he said, 50 each. So, we're delighted to have Jim here, who owns one of the most important unions in the country. His success comes from his incredible hard work that he's done to fight for workers. And he's representative of many of the generations of hardworking Irish who came to America in search of a better life. For once, the Grand Marshal we have is not going to be intimidated being at the head of 200 to 250,000 people, because he heads a union with how many? 430,000 is it now? 403,000, I beg your pardon, 403,000, it's almost twice the size of the parade. So, for Jim, ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you our 2020 Grand Marshal, Jim Callahan.